Whānau. I'm Casey.
I'm Patty.
This is our second time trying to do this video, if you can see from my eyes.
We do not have the best of luck doing videos.
We don't have luck doing videos.
The amount of videos we've lost.
So now we're sitting here, we just finished talking about trauma and how it affects my depression and a bit of my anxiety. It went on for about like 30 minutes. We talked about heaps actually, and then we hit some really good spots in there around trauma. Yeah, I cried a lot actually, and then our video got lost. We went to go push stop and then to upload it onto our YouTube, and it came up as an error. So 30 minutes.
So every time we lose a video, which is like every time we post a video, we always do end up having to do a second one all the time. How do you feel about that?
I feel pissed off.
Like, we would be so done with this challenge. Like, the amount of times we have sat there and been like, you know what, fuck this.
I know, and I think like right now in this space we're just like
30 minutes. This one's been crying our eyes out for the last 30 minutes, and we felt so much.
Oh, it was good, wasn't it?
And, okay, so every time we lose a video, we're like, you know what, it's fine, we'll just do it again. Alright, and this is what we look like.
Yeah, because you know what is that we put so much emotion into it, and then just like we just put ourselves into it. A lot of emotion came out, and then we go to upload it, error, and then now thinking about it, that feeling of like just being pissed off about it has settled in, and I don't even feel like talking now. Anyway, today we talked about trauma. Our day 10. Pets, tell us about day 10.
Day 10. I posted what it was like being in a relationship with someone with mental health, depression and anxiety, and what it was like for me who didn't know anything about it. I mean, yeah, I would hear people say, oh, I feel so depressed, but I thought that was just a bit of sadness, really. Like, it wasn't anything deep, but that's just what I heard all the time. I don't know if it meant anything. I never met anyone that's, see, now I'm all over the place. What it was like.
Something that stuck out for me in that was that you'd posted, you'd written that you realised, and it took you a long time to realise that my anxiety and depression wasn't about you. Like, you would make the situation all about you, when it wasn't about you, it was about the anxiety or the depression.
And to me, like, we'll have something like a disagreement, and it'll be like, to me it'll be something silly, like, oh, that wasn't anything, we'll just get over it. But anything that's small to me is always a lot bigger, and I think it's like from our video and you talking about it, the last one, was that you take everything to heart, and you think about it, and you analyse it, and you flip it everywhere, all over, and then you come back with something. Whereas I just look at it and be like, that's done.
Yeah.
And I think, but it was really different. Like, we didn't even talk about like depression or anxiety when we met. Like, it was just stuff that was just happening, and there was no, like, we never actually talked about it.
Yeah, because I'm not going to show you all the tools of my basket, you know what I mean? I'm not going to give you all the goods.
Just wait until I'm married and just
I'll just
throw it
wait
in there.
till you're like so obsessed with me, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, FYI, I got anxiety and depression.
But it was more of your actions that showed it, but because I didn't understand it or I didn't know, I would just be like, just not having a good day today.
Mm-hmm.
Having an off day today.
And I remember a comment that you had said, I can't even remember what we argued about or had a disagreement about, but I remember you were just like, oh, you know, why do you have to be like this? Why are you always like this? You're always just like so sad or whatever. And I was just like, well, I just can't help it. And then I think something you had said was just like, well, just stop being sad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like to say something like that to someone that is like depressed or have anxiety, it's probably like the worst thing people can say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew someone that we worked with, and I don't know why I felt anxious or anything like that, but I was just having this really off day, and he noticed it, and he was just like, oh, what's wrong with you, mate? And I was just like, oh, I don't know what it is, just feeling really anxious, I don't know what's going on, I just feel like I've got anxiety. And the thing that he said to me was like, you know, the best way to not have anxiety? And I was just like, oh, what's that? And he's just like, just don't have it. Just don't have anxiety. Just don't feel like you have anxiety. And I was just like, at that point, I was just like, what the hell? Fuck you. No, I didn't say that. But I was just like, that is like the worst
You
thing.
should have,
And
though.
then it made me like worse, like, you know what I mean? And now me and one of our other mates that get anxiety, we just kind of say that now to each other. It's a joke, take each other in memes, and just be like, you know what? Best way to tackle that is just don't have it. Well, I kind of get it. Like, you know, you want to stay positive and keep your mind focused on positive things. But I guess at that time, that was not the advice that I needed.
No one ever needs that kind of advice.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about that, and then from that post that Pats had put up, which I absolutely loved, I think when I went to work that night, so I was just like, can you do us a post? And then I was expecting her to just talk about like anxiety or depression or something like that. And
well, I tried to do push-ups, but I couldn't do one. So I thought I'd better try and write something.
That's cute. Yeah, and then I ended up getting tagged in this post. I checked my notification, and then I read it, and it was like one of the most beautifulest things I had read, so it was really cute. And I loved it. And it got me thinking, there was one thing that was on there that you had said, which was like, you didn't understand why I was so sad all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not all the time, but why.
But it's not like you were going to tell me when we first met, like, alright,
like,
look here.
Hey girl, I got anxiety and depression. You can? Like, that would not have gone very well. Yeah, so that was something that had stuck out for me. That you didn't understand why I was so sad. So I decided to come up with like a little exercise, and what I wanted to do was we've already talked about this, but we talk about an age or thereabouts. So we chose 5, 10 and 15. And so what you do is you talk about the most saddest feeling or situation that you had been through in that age group, and then talk about what happened, how it made you feel, and yeah, we didn't get to 15. I don't even want to go to 15 yet, not ready for 15.
Okay.
So we're just doing 5 and 10. And so if you'd like to go first, your 5 years, a situation that happened, that where you felt a lot of emotion, and whatever, and talk about it, how did it make you feel.
Okay. Sorry, this heat is like...
Just find down the back window.
Oh, there's so many mozzies right around the car. What was it? I remember my mum and dad weren't together, so we would go to my dad's for the weekend or wherever. And so we got ready in the morning, and we were like all ready on the steps with our backpacks on, ready for the weekend. And then my mum told me, oh, he's going to be a little bit late, so we're like, sweet. So we get up, we like disappear, go play for wherever we used to go, and then we came back and we're like, all right, it's almost time. So we'll get our backpack and then we'll go and sit back down and wait. And I think this kept happening like throughout the whole day, and then literally it was getting dark, and then my mum was like, yeah, he's not coming. And I remember all three of us, my brother and my sister, we were just like sitting there like this, gutted, so gutted. Well, how do you even feel that at 5 years old? But we were pretty gutted, really. Like, that was the first bit of disappointment really that we had.
What did you guys do for the rest of the night?
Shit, I can't remember. I was just like shitty. Probably just sat there and watched TV with our backpacks on.
Oh, that's so sad.
But that was the first, and I remember like being so I mean, I'm pretty sure my dad would have made it up to us, but I think that was that situation where we felt pretty bummed out about everything. But yeah, what about you?
Bummed out and disappointed. I remember 5 years old. I can't even cry now. I remember 5 years old. You go to school, you go to primary. When you're in 5, your parents have to pick you up. Like, you can't leave the school without an adult. So I remember that happened, and they're gonna turn the sound crazy now. So I remember school finished. You wait outside by the gate, and you have to be picked up by your parent. Anyway, I remember sitting there with like a group of my friends, and everyone's getting picked up. And so like the mum or the dad is coming, the older sibling or whatever, they're coming to pick up my mates. And so I seen them, we had like a mean as day. When you like make things and you just want to like show off to your parent or whoever that you made something. I remember they're waiting, and then my mate's mum had come and to pick him up, and he was just like, oh look, I got this. So they're having like kisses and hugs and stuff like that at the school, and then just asking how their day was. Oh yeah, it was an awesome day and stuff like that. So I was just like, yeah, I was kind of like pumped because I had a good day, seeing all my mates getting picked up from their parents and that. And yeah, I couldn't wait to show my mum and my dad and my family what I had made at school at being 5 years old. But as time went on, the crowd started to get a little bit less and less and less. And so by the end of it, I remember 4:30, my teacher comes down, she waits with me, and she's like, oh, where's your mum? And I was just like, oh, where's your parents? I was just like, oh, I don't know where they are. So we still sat there. Anyway, my mum turned out she had a car of her mates in it, and there was a parking spot right in front of us, but she went down a little bit further. And I was just like, oh, happy as because my mum's here. And then I got like my aunties there too, and so I was like happy. So I like jump up, start running to the car, and I'm just like, hi ma, like happy as. And then I remember not getting the embrace that my friends got. I got more of like, where have you been? And I was just like, I've been here, I've been waiting for you, like I can't walk home. And you should have just came home, we just live over there. But it wasn't just over there. You had to walk out the back, you had to walk down the streets, go through a subway, you had to go through all this like dodgy area, and then to walk down this long street again to go home. So to me, I thought that was the plan. It was the plan actually, that she was going to pick me up, but she ended up being an hour and a half late. And I remember just getting blasted in the car for embarrassing my mum, because there was no one else there. I think she knew too. My teacher was there, and I remember getting blasted from her in the car and from her mates about embarrassing my mum because she was late to pick me up. And something that like through the hour and a half, I was like imagining what it was going to be like being picked up and being able to show my mum and them my thing that I made, my cute thing was probably like done now, like, you know, so, and I was probably like,
I would
hey.
love it though.
And then and stuff like that. So I couldn't wait, but instead I got told off, yelled at, and I felt like I was made to be like a bit of a joke in front of her friends, like just to like tell me off and maybe look cool. I don't know, but all I know is that I felt like so sad, so like a disappointment, so like angry, pissed off, but deeply sad that I didn't have the loving that embrace that my mates and stuff got when they got picked up, and I hated it. I didn't want to be picked up anymore. Fuck that. But I did. But anyway, that's how I felt at that time, of like feeling unwanted, not important at that time. So that was at 5 years old. So 5 years old, how old am I? So 27 years I've known the emotion of feeling unwanted, feeling not important, the feeling of like embarrassment, being embarrassing someone else, and not feeling loved. So from 27 years I've known that emotion. Our next age group or age thing is 10.
Nothing.
And I remember like you were gonna say this because we've already done this video. And the first time we did it and you said nothing, that you've never felt any like sad
nothing
emotion.
Significantly sad.
Yeah.
You know? Like
because we've done this video before, I already knew what her answer was going to be, so it already made me sad in the way that like I'm happy for her because she never had to go through anything bad, but in a way that like I was like, I feel like a little bit jealous, like that I had to go through what I went through, but not knowing anything else, like not knowing that, you know what, people don't actually go through this. How sad is that? That's sad. Yeah, so at age 10, around that age, Pats didn't have any stories or talk like anything. I think when we talked about it earlier, something that stood out was when you said I was just like nothing happened, like I was just being a kid at 10.
I was a kid.
And I think at that, when you said that kind of broke me a bit, because I was like, far out, I wish I had that. I wish I could just be a kid or feel like a kid and have no shit emotions. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's shit because you should have though.
Yeah, so I'll try and get my story done fast, but around 10-ish, I remember being sat down and then my mum telling us that her and my father, we were going to break up. So we were still going to stay in our house in Petone, and then my dad was moving back to his mum's, my nan's place over in Wainui. So I remember that, but the thing that I remember about it is that I had this like sigh of relief. Like I was so happy that they were going to break up and they weren't going to be together and anything like that, because not because of that they were breaking up, but because of what happened earlier and what I witnessed earlier with them being in a relationship. So even between 5 to like 12, I remember a lot of domestic violence in our house. So I remember my mum and dad arguing all the time, fist fights, both of them. So I remember my mum would grab like anything that was around, One time it was like a golf stick that was getting waved around and stuff like that. And I remember like 2, maybe 3 fights that I witnessed. And this thing that would happen with that is that my older siblings, I can't remember Sunday, but I remember my older siblings, they would always have heaps of friends, or my cousins and stuff would be over. That was kind of like the house to be, because there was just like so much kids. But I remember if like a fight broke out, my older siblings will like jump in and either defend my mom or my dad or whatever like that, or they'll all just scatter, and then they'll all take off to different places, friends' houses and stuff like that, because of this fight. And a couple times I remember I remember being used as like a human shield between my mum and my dad. And I think it was my dad. My dad had said something like, "Are you really going to hit me with your daughter right here?" And I remember being pulled close to my dad so that my mum wouldn't hit him. But like, you're just a little kid, you can hear all the like, fuck yeah, fuck this, fuck that, fuck that, punching, yelling, throwing, all this stuff. And to be put in the middle of that was like the saddest, craziest thing ever. So I witnessed heaps of domestic violence. So when it came to the time where they broke up and Dad moved out and then went to Nan's, that was the highlight of my life, seeing that, because to me it felt like, okay, we're not going to see that anymore. Like it's nothing now, like, you know what I mean? So but don't get me wrong, we had heaps of good stuff that happened when we were kids, like, and stuff like that. But the domestic violence and the arguments and being put in the middle was some of the things that hurt me the most. They made me feel like that's where I felt anger, hate, because I didn't know why they were doing this. I felt like, I don't know if anyone else has been a human shield at the age of like 10, but it's like this real shit kind of feeling that you're just like, you feel so bad and stuff like that. But like, some of the things that they would say when they'll argue, like, obviously you just bring your kids into the middle of it, like, no, that's your fucking kid, your fucking daughter, like, on stuff like that. So when people like talking like that about you, that's supposed to be the people that's supposed to look after you, that's when you kind of like feel like the deepest shit of the shit, you know what I mean? So there was age from 5 to like 12, and so that's going like 27 years. I've known that emotion of hate, anger, disappointment, sad, depressed, not worthy. I've known that emotion. So when we see something or talk about something that's like really sad, it automatically takes me back to that moment. Like, this happened like 22 years ago. But I can automatically just, like, my heart just kind of drops. Everything just drops when I see something that happens like that. My heart drops and I just feel like so sad, so like depressed about it. Like, it's like one of those things that I just can't understand. So when something like that happens in our life or in our relationship that would trigger that emotion, it automatically, my mind just flicks back to that, and it heightens that emotion even more. And I don't know if that's a good way to explain anxiety or depression, but that's how my 22 years of knowing that sad feeling is just a little bit deeper than what I think your sad feelings are, because you haven't had to know that feeling that deep before, whereas I've known that feeling that deep for a long amount of time. And I think that's why when something happens that affects our relationship or affects me, it's like my whole world, my whole aura becomes it. I can't just shake it because of...
And you can't though, because if you do try, it eventually comes up later.
Yeah.
And it's something that just keeps dragging and dragging, and it's hard.
Yeah.
But I understand. Well, I don't understand, but I'm listening.
But that's communication though. That's the other tool that we use through everything is communication. We wouldn't have known any of this if we didn't communicate properly and talk about it properly. The thing that I've learned out of all of this is I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change my life, anything for anything, like to change it so that I never went through those experiences. I would never do that. I wouldn't change a hair on my chin if it meant something didn't happen that didn't make me lead to this space of time, if that makes sense. Like, I think those experiences make me who I am, because like I'm just like such a loving kind of person. Like if I see someone and they feel sad or something like that, I just like automatically like, you okay? Like stuff like that. So
I mean, I said this in the last video, but you've been through so much, but you're still one of the most happiest, loving, softest person like I know. I mean, I said it in the last video, but it's the truth.
That's cute.
That is pretty cute. I'm lucky.
Yeah. If I could give any advice to anyone, just you don't really know anyone's story. Like you don't know what people have gone through in their life to get them to where they are today.
Because if you meet Casey, she's always happy, like always happy. So you'd never ever think that.
I remember when we left our last job, we had this like team meeting. We had this like goodbye that lasted the whole day, and I absolutely loved it. But I remember our big boss there had said a comment that was just like, you know, if you're ever having like a shit day, Casey was the one that you would go to, and she would like always make you feel a lot better and stuff like that. And at that time I was sitting there and I was listening to it, but I was just like, fuck, but I've been like, when I come to work, at times I'm just like the saddest person, but I put up this front so that no one has to hold my anxieties or my stresses or my depression or anything like that, or my emotions, so that like I don't want anyone to feel that. So whenever I see someone, I'm always just like happy so that they don't have to be sad. You know what I mean? I would never want anyone to be sad as what I was. But through that whole time, there's probably like the most saddest I've been for a while, and which was nice to hear, but it was definitely one of those times where I was just like, that person that he was talking about was the person that I needed in my life at that time to make me happy. And it was interesting to know that I was one of those people for him, or our mates back there. I love that I was one of those people, but I wish that I had one of those people that he talked about for me sometimes. And yeah, that's weird how that happens, eh?
That is weird.
But yeah, I didn't realize how much of an impact that we had on everyone there until it was our last day, and I had a couple conversations with one of the young blokes and another mate that works there. He gave me this really cute card from his babies, just to say thank you for helping their dad. And I didn't realize how much help I was to them. but yeah, definitely my experiences that I've been through in my past has definitely made the person that I am today, that loving person who just has a little bit of trouble sometimes with their emotions. But that's it. That's mental health, whānau. That's, it can come and it can go and it can be anywhere. But yeah, don't judge a book by its cover. Love thy neighbor, and get to know everyone's story before you judge them. It's just, yeah. That was take 2 of our day 11 and 12.